Good morning, students. Welcome back in your SS class. Student, we have started second chapter of history, that is nationalism in India, and this would be the fifth part of it. And in the last video lecture, we have studied that about non-cooperation movement and how it was withdrawn. And even we have also discussed that in 1923, Swaraj Party was formed, and it was formed because Mahatma Gandhi withdrew the civil non-cooperation movement, and this non-cooperation movement, it was withdrawn due to the incidents, due to the violent incident of Chori Chora. You can see that, right, students? So, dear student, now from today's lecture, we will discuss about Simon Commission. This would be the next part of our, you can say that, our chapter. And my dear student, if you think about Indian politics at that time, means at the time of after 1922, if you think about Indian politics, there were two factors which shaped the Indian politics. The first one, it would be the worldwide economic depression, and the second one is the Simon Commission. So first of all, we will discuss about the worldwide economic depression. So dear student, after the First World War, you can see that after the First World War, the economical depression, it was created in all over the world. Means हर जगह पर आर्थिक तंगी देखने को नजर आई. Means agriculture prices, they began to fall, and even the export, it was declined also. Peasants always faced difficulty to sell their harvest, and if they were not able to sell their harvest, then how can they pay revenue? Means they were not able to pay revenue also. So this situation was created worldwide, and this was known as economical depression, and it was done in after, you can say that, after the First World War. The student, here I want to tell you one thing, that 1929 to 1932, it was the time period of the worldwide economic depression in all over the world. Even you can say that USA, it also faced this economic depression. Unemployment was seen everywhere, and you can say that even factories were shut down. Export, you can say that it was also declined, and in 1923, whatever the export was done, but in 1932, near about 50% export was totally down. So you can say that this economic depression, it has widely bad impact in all over the world, and it also created a great impact on our Indian politics also, right, students? Now the second point, that is Simon Commission. We have to discuss this point. Now, dear student, Simon Commission, this was constituted by the British Parliament under the leadership of Sir John Simon. That's why this was known as a Simon Commission. Now, why Simon Commission was constituted? So the main aim to constitute Simon Commission is that to look into the functioning of the constitution system of India and suggest further changes. Means 1919 Government Act of India, it was prepared so that some reforms can be done in the in Indian society. So, but maximum, you can see that maximum reforms, they were not done. So to look after the functioning of the constitution, system of India. So under the leadership of Sir John Simon, Simon Commission was constituted, right, students? But this commission has one defect, and it was most important, that there was no Indian member in that commission. So dear student, I want to tell you one thing here, that if there was no Indian member in that commission, then how could he think about the, you can say that, Indian society? How could he think about, you can say that, the reforms about Indian culture and Indian constitution? How could they think about it if there was no Indian member in that commission? So because there was no Indian member in, you can say that, in that commission, that's why it was protested everywhere in India, right, student? Now, dear student, the Simon Commission, it was constituted in 1927. This was formed in 1927, but it arrived in India in 1928, right? So you have one question here, when Simon Commission was formed. So this was constituted in 1927, but it arrived in India in 1928. But when it arrived in India, it was greeted by, you can say that it was greeted by the demonstration, and slogan was there, that is Simon go back. Slogan was there, that is Simon go back. And everywhere this slogan was, you can say that there in all over the society, all over the Indian society. And this Simon Commission, it was greeted by these things, right friends? It means that this Simon Commission, it was, you can say that, boycotted. It was boycotted, you can say that. All the political parties, Muslim League and Congress, all the political parties were participated in this protest also, right friends? So this was the Simon Commission. I hope this concept is clear to you. So dear student, Simon Commission, it was constituted under the leadership of Sir John Simon, and the main aim and the main function of it to look after the constitution system of India and to suggest further changes so that the reforms could be done in the Indian society. This was the basic aim of this commission. But why it was established? The main function, the main and real reason. I want to tell you one thing, that 1920, it was the time period of the non-cooperation movement. So British government saw that there was such type of incident, why it was occurred. So to know the basic reason of it, that's why this commission was constituted, right? But it has one loophole, that is there was no Indian member in that commission. So that's why it was boycotted. It was greeted by the demonstration and you can say slogan Simon go back. Right friends? And this commission, it was constituted in 1927, but it arrived in India in 1928. And all the political parties protested against it, and they showed demonstration against it. Right? So this was the Simon Commission. I hope this concept is clear to all of you. Now, dear student, there was a first roundtable conference in October 1929. In the time period of October 1929, we have Lord Irwin as a viceroy in our India. So first roundtable conference, it was you can say commence. It was you can say that organized in October 1929 by Lord Irwin to discuss the future constitution of India, to discuss the future reforms about India. But dear student, Congress did not participate in this first roundtable conference. It boycotted, it protested against it, it refused to participate in it. Even Mahatma Gandhi, he also refused to participate in the first roundtable conference. Right? So dear student, in December 1929, there was a Congress session at Lahore. Now it is in Pakistan right now. So it was done under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru. And in this session, it was decided that 26 January 1930, it was celebrated in all over the India as a complete Independence Day. As a complete Independence Day, this resolution was passed in December 1929 Congress session, which was conducted in Lahore. Right now, it is, you can say that, in Pakistan, but at that time, Pakistan, it was also a part of India, right, friends? So that's why the session of Congress, it was held in December 1929 in Lahore and under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru. And in this Congress session, a resolution was passed, and according to that resolution, 26 January 1930, it was celebrated as a complete Independence Day. So dear student, I will tell you one thing, that in 8th standard, we have told you that our Indian Constitution, it was prepared. Indian Constitution, you can say that it was prepared in on 26 November 1949, but it was implemented, and you can say it was came into force on 26 January 1950. Why? This was the basic reason, because 26 January 1930, it was considered as a complete Independence Day. So to get to give the significance of that particular day, that's why our Indian Constitution, it was adopted on 26 January 1930. Right, friends? So dear student, let's come to the same topic, that is in December 1920 Congress session. It was held in, you can say, Lahore under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, and in that session it was decided that 26 January 1930 it was celebrated as a complete Independence Day, and at the river bank of Ravi it was also celebrated. but very few people attended it. Very few people attracted towards it. So due to a very little attraction, so the Congress leader and even Mahatma Gandhi, they thought about that there was a need to do something new. There was a need to start a mass movement. But how can it be started? Question arises here. How it would be started? So what was this new thing which Mahatma Gandhi and Congress started? Let's discuss about it. So dear student, our next topic, that is Salt March and Civil Disobedience Movement. This movement, it is also, you can say, civil disobedience. It was also, you can say that a mass movement in our Indian society. Non-cooperation movement, it means that not to cooperate with Britishers. But what does civil disobedience movement? It means that not to cooperate with, you can say that, not to cooperate with British government as well as break the laws. This is the main reason. हम यहाँ पर cooperate तो करेंगे ही नहीं, कानून भी तोड़ेंगे. This is the civil disobedience movement, and it was started, and you can say it was launched in 1930, right? So on 31st January 1930, Mahatma Gandhi sent a letter to Viceroy Irving, and it was stated by 11 demands. In that letter, there was 11 demands which was demanded by Mahatma Gandhi. If we think about these demands has a wide range, you can say that, to cover entire Indian society. Means whatever is demands were given in that particular 11 demands, the range of these demands, it was so much wide that it covered entire Indian society. Some, you can say, were the general demands, but the main demands, they were to abolish the salt tax, and second thing, to look into the land revenue. These were the main demand. Other were, you can say that, the general demands which covered the whole entire Indian society, but these were two demands, that salt tax, it must be abolished, and second thing, land revenue, it must be looked after. You can say that it must be reduced. But Viceroy Lord Irving, it did not accept any demand. You can say that the British government, it did not accept any demand. So that's why Mahatma Gandhi gave an ultimatum on 11th March 1930. And in that ultimatum, it was stated that if the demands were not fulfilled, the Congress would launch a civil disobedience movement, and it would be a mass movement. But Irving was unwilling to negotiate. Means Irving ने किसी भी प्रकार का, आप कह सकते हो, उसके प्रति अपना इंटरेस्ट शो नहीं किया. Right, friends? Right? I hope this is clear to all of you. Just wait. So under this ultimatum, the demand was not, you can say that, accepted by the British government. So dear student, so Mahatma Gandhi select salt as a, you can say, important weapon, as a steering weapon. So Mahatma Gandhi chose and selected salt as a steering weapon. Now we have one question here, that why was salt selected as a weapon? Salt को ही ऐसा क्यों select किया गया? The basic reason is that, my dear student, that if we think about salt, it is an essential commodity of our food, and it is right now also, and it was at that time also, it was consumed by all the people, whether I'm rich, whether I'm poor, it does not matter. We have to use salt in our food because it is an essential commodity for our food. That's why Mahatma Gandhi selected this thing, because this concept, because this weapon, it touched everybody in the Indian society, and all people will participate in the civil disobedience movement. That's why Mahatma Gandhi you can say selected this salt as a steering weapon. Right, students? Now, second point, and what about the most important, that why salt was selected? Second thing is that at that time, British had monopoly to manufacture the salt, and you can say that to sell the salt. It was the monopoly of the British government. Right, friends? So that's why Mahatma Gandhi started this thing. That's why Mahatma Gandhi chose, you can say that, chose salt as a weapon. in this movement, right? So dear student, I have already told you that what does civil disobedience movement mean? It means that not obeying government laws. Means whatever the government law it was prepared, we will break all these things. Right, friends? It was the meaning of the civil disobedience movement. So Mahatma Gandhi decided to launch Dandi March. Now let's think about what was Dandi March. It would be the most important thing. So along with 78 trusted followers, Mahatma Gandhi started this movement, and from Sabarmati Ashram, he started this movement from Sabarmati Ashram, this march from Sabarmati Ashram to the coastal area of Dandi. You can say that coastal area of Dandi of Gujarat. तो वहां तक उन्होंने अपने 78 फॉलोअर्स के साथ मिलकर ये काम किया. ऐसा माना जाता है कि 390 किलोमीटर का टाइम एरिया था, मींस टोटल एरिया था, but it have some confusion also because somewhere it has been taken 240 and somewhere it has been done 390 kilometer. Right, friends? So Mahatma Gandhi started this march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, which was a coastal, which is a coastal village of Gujarat. And on 6 April 1930, Mahatma Gandhi reached at Dandi, and there he manufactured salt by boiling the seawater. And dear student, this incident, it was marked as the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. So you have 1 marks question here, that which incident it was considered as the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. It was this, that when Mahatma Gandhi entered in the Dandi March, when Mahatma Gandhi manufactured salt by boiling water, yeah, you can say this salt march, it was considered the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. Simply, right? Salt march, it was considered, yeah, Dandi March, it was considered, this incident was marked as the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. Now, the civil disobedience movement, it was started in 1930. Right, friends? Now, let's discuss about features of the civil disobedience movement. So, first of all, let's see the difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. I have already told you that in non-cooperation movement, not to cooperate with Britishers, but in civil disobedience movement, not only refuse to cooperate, but break the colonial laws also. It is civil disobedience movement, right? This was the basic difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. So let's focus the features of the civil disobedience movement. Now, my dear student, at Dandi, Mahatma Gandhi manufactured salt by boiling simple seawater, and he manufactured salt. So after this incident, thousands of the peoples in different parts of India, they broke salt law by manufacturing the salt. Because to manufacture salt, it had the monopoly of the Britishers. Britishers made a law. Under that law, to manufacture the salt, it was the monopoly of the Britishers. Right, students? But if we manufacture, if Indian people manufacture salt, it means we were breaking the salt law. Right, students? So after the Dandi March, after the Dandi incident, thousands of the peoples in all over the part of India, in different part of the India, they broke salt law, right? Second thing, foreign clothes, they were boycotted. Student, listen this thing. It was in the non-cooperation movement also. Because we have in CDM, we have that not only refuse to cooperate, but break the colonial laws also, right? Liquor soap, it means wine soaps. They were also picketed. It means the entrance would be blocked so that no customer could enter the, you can say that, in the shop. That's why liquor shops, they were blocked, you can say that. Peasants, they refused to pay any type of tax, like chokidari tax. Even the forest laws, they were also violated by the tribal people, and they started to collect fuel, wood, and graze cattle also. Right, students? So this was the things. Now, dear student, now British can't kept mum on this situation. It also responded toward the CDM, and British government, it responded in a very brutal manner. Note down, whenever we discuss any type of movement and whenever the British response was there, it responded in a very brutal manner. First of all, it began to arrest all the leaders one by one. So in this moment, it began to arrest Congress leaders one by one. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, he was arrested in April 1930 also, right? And even Mahatma Gandhi, he was also arrested. When people heard this situation, this incident that Mahatma Gandhi was also arrested, then people attacked on the government buildings. Whatever the symbol of the government, people attacked on them, right? Police station, municipal buildings, court, etc. So people started to attack in those places. When people started to attack on these places, the government responded in a very more cruel manner. They also attacked on a peaceful demonstration. Even women and children, they were also beaten up by the Britishers. About 1 lakh people, they were arrested. About 1 lakh people, they were arrested in that situation. Right, students? So think about the situation. What was the situation at that time? How Britishers responded toward the situation, right? And this was civil disobedience movement. Now see here that this incident became violent, and Mahatma Gandhi, he was against violence, right? So this incident became violent. So due to this thing, Mahatma Gandhi called off the CDM, it means civil disobedience movement, because this incident became violent, and Mahatma Gandhi, he was against, you can say that he was against the violent activity. That's why Mahatma Gandhi called off this CDM, civil disobedience movement. Now, what would happen after civil disobedience movement? We will discuss it in the next video lecture, right? I hope this concept is clear to all of you. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.